But if dissent is punished, there was never unity to start with. So that's something else to think about and consider. And again, it's kind of one of those lines you can flip around. If they're not answering your questions, allowing you to speak out, and then claiming unity, clearly there is none.
I don't know how I was talked into joining the union, but I hesitated a lot, but I finally gave in. And I attended a union meeting one day, and there were a lot of union members, and our legal department, the lawyers were attending the meeting. And I raised my hand to ask a question. I don't remember what the question was, but I wanted to ask a question, and I had it up for a long time. They ignore my hand being raised. They didn't ask me, even as the meeting was over, what was the question, or they didn't ask me to write it down. And so I got mad. And the next day, I went to the school, and another teacher was wanting to get out of the union. So I said, well, let's go downtown. Let's go get out of the union. And she goes, okay, do you think they'll let us? She said. And I said, oh, if they say no, we're going to insist. So we went to the offices, and I asked them when we got there, what do we have to do to get out of the union? And they look at me and they say, can you tell us why you want to get out of the union? And I said, do you really want to know? And immediately they gave me the card, had me fill it out. We both filled it out, and the next month, none of our dues were taken out of our paychecks. So we were good. I was happy, and I said, this is a waste of time being in the union. I don't know why we even got talked into getting into the union. But that's my story of getting out of the union. It was easy for me because I wasn't going to let them tell me I couldn't do it. And I wasn't going to let them tell me that there was a limit or a time limit or anything like that. I was going to say, give me the card. It's against the law for you to tell me I cannot get out of the union. That's what I was going to tell them if they insisted on not letting me out. But that's my story.
Thank you, Rebecca. That reminds me that as much as the importance of an individual's dues are to the union to get that money, what's more important to them is your silence. And that's what they need because it is all a control-based system and fear. They need people to be quiet, and they need the perception of unity. And there is not unity, but they do their best to try and isolate anyone who speaks out and make you feel alone. And that's part of what they do. And hopefully this conference will empower everyone and you all realize that you're not alone. But if dissent is punished, there was never unity to start with. So that's something else to think about and consider. And again, it's kind of one of those lines you can flip around. If they're not answering your questions, allowing you to speak out, and then claiming unity, clearly there is none. Stacy?
And I'd like to say I've known Rebecca for 19 years, and I think the best part of her story is it was years ago. We didn't know the Freedom Foundation. She went down there and did that, and she didn't know what her rights were, except it was her money. So, she did that on her own way before we have the Freedom Foundation now helping us. But my story starts in 2020, and everything we know that the teachers union did to keep schools closed, to tell people to social distance, even elementary schools, which the health departments didn't recommend. That woke me up. And then it happened to be that the union rep at my school liked to tattle if my mask was crooked or whatever. And so the things that activated me was I was being bullied. And, the union rep would write an email or tell the principal would send me an email, your mask was crooked or whatever. And just this bullying, I just couldn't be quiet. We teach students Don't allow yourself to be bullied. And I cannot tell a student something and then not do it. My integrity says if you're going to teach students to not allow themselves to be bullied, then you cannot allow yourself to be bullied. And there were plenty of times where it would be easier to keep quiet. But I just couldn't. I couldn't inside of myself teach kids something and not live by it myself.